Well, you're here with one-time Keith Thurman. Obviously, he's in the biggest fight of his career. You know, there's been a lot of questions in this fight of who has the better resume in terms of either it's Danny at 140 or not enough fights at 147. Has Keith fought in the right amount of opponents or the right person to prepare him for Danny? I mean, there's so much anticipation in the buildup of this fight. You're in here. What are you seeing from the champ exactly? What could you give his fans that will be watching this? You know, what sort of reassurance could you give them that the champ is not only 100%, but will come back to St. Petersburg with the victory in both of those titles?
One thing is that he's one hard-working champion. I've been in camps with a lot of champions, and he's by far one of the hardest working that I've seen. So if you could take anything away from this, is that come March 4th, he's going to be in tremendous shape. He's never short of any confidence. We all know that. And, you know, you mix that hard work mentality with great conditioning. I mean, it's just a recipe for a great fight.
Now, you mentioned that off air and a couple of times already in the short amount of time that we've been here. What separates his conditioning from not yours, but say other camps that you've been in? I mean, now I'm intrigued. What does he do that has all this extra stamina, or that you're not accustomed to seeing, that you're calling it or emphasizing it so much?
Well, I don't know how he feels about anybody telling him, you know, his regimen, so I won't give away his regimen. But from what I've seen, and he's a young champion, and the work he puts in is remarkable. And when he works, and whoever he's working with, his strength and conditioning trainer or his boxing trainer, they tell him do this, do that, and he doesn't say anything. He doesn't no back talk. There's just how many? Let me just do this. Let me just do this amount or that amount. Where a lot of fighters will argue with their trainer because they're tired or they're sore, and whatever she says or he says, Keith just does it. And that separates him from me, because me, I'd be like, man, come on, one more, just one more, you know. So, you know, that's remarkable.
What else have you picked up? You know, you being a former champion yourself, what have you picked up? Because obviously you want to come back.
Pre-fight, you have an emotional fight, and that's where the wordplay comes into play. You know, Angel Garcia is not the fighter; he is the trainer. He is the father, you know what I'm saying? And with that, you know, he has a lot of pride. He's got a lot of passion. And, you know, he said things that he didn't need to say. He said things that are invalid in the fight world, you know. Is he just trying to get under my skin? You know, I mean, he can try better by not making a fool out of himself and maybe throwing a few more darts more directly at me. But even then, his words are not the man who I'm about to face. What we call the shit talk, right? The shit talk, I'm interested in what Garcia has to say. And we got into each other's face after the father drama, and I got to hear what he had to say, man, you know, and he's kind of regurgitating some of the stuff his father done put in his ear, you know what I'm saying, that we've been through this before, we've been at this level before, you've never fought a true champion. Talking about me, you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is, man. You know, I'm glad he has confidence, man. He's seen me grow up. I've seen him grow up. You know, I don't know what his specs are as an amateur. I know he wasn't on the Olympic team. I know I wasn't on the Olympic team. I know I won 7 national titles. I don't know how many national titles that boy won. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you were always a weight class under me. You was always smaller than me. You ain't never stepped in the ring with me. You don't know what it is to mess with me. March 4th, you're going to find out, man. It's going to be a very special day. You're going to get re-educated on what it means to mess with Keith one-time Thurman. When I step in the ring, I'm not fighting you. You're fighting me. And you fighting the version of me that I bring out of me. Sean Porter, I've never sat on the ropes and let somebody do that to me often. I was on the ropes, I believe, against Robert Guerrero towards the end of the round. And I told myself prior to the fight, remember what happened with Guerrero? And you were on the ropes because you ain't really mind. You heard the crowd cheering, and you was like, all right, let's let the crowd cheer. He don't got nothing on his punches. Let's not run and just win running because that's going to make them boo like Bundu. It was the same arena. I was like, we'll just take these blows. We'll let them put on a show, you know, because you got the fight won after the knockdown. I won enough rounds. I knocked him down. The fight was already over. Now he wants to get up and fight and act like he's going to do something. He ain't do nothing, okay? So I told myself from the get, there's going to be times where we're going to let Porter exert some of that energy that he trained so hard to obtain, because it's Porter's fight style to outpunch his opponent, you know, and I knew that going into the fight. But what was going to matter is I didn't want him to have the same energy that he's going to have at the start of the fight at the end of the fight, because for one of the first times in my career, I'm coming off of a car accident, which made me go through rehab, where he was in training camp the whole time. I was in rehab. Then I had to come back out of rehab, get back into training camp to make the fight happen for the fight fans. And I knew that my opponent was going to be in better shape and better conditioning than me. So why not let him, if we don't have the same gas tank, why not let him go full throttle certain rounds? He's going to win those rounds, but we're going to be competitive. We're always going to grab a round back. We're always going to grab a few more rounds back. And sure enough, by the 8th round, it was a tied fight, unanimous. Final 4 rounds. It came down to 4 rounds. At the end of the day, you watch the final 4. Your boy one time pulled it out and is still champion. So, you know, man, I mean, I'm just educated on this fight game. I'm just ready for anything. I'm ready for the hurt. I'm ready for the pain. It is what it is, man. You know, for me, I tell everybody, win, lose, or draw. And when I say anybody, I mean my real fans, the people that got my back, and my family, my loved ones, the ones that really support me. I say win, lose, or draw. If anything happens to your boy one time, if I was to die in that ring, don't shed a tear, because I chose this profession. I love this game. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do, man.
Now we're here with Dan Birmingham, trainer of Keith one-time Thurman. And how do you see him so far? I mean, everyone's saying this is his biggest fight. Is this just another day at the office for you guys?
It is in a sense, but he realizes the magnitude of this fight. It is a huge fight. He's working extra hard for this.
Has there been any added motivation since of all the antics that took place at the official press conference? Are you or Keith, I don't know, a little more willing to hurt Danny and his father after, obviously, the words and exchange that took place in New York City?
I've been in a lot of huge fights. Emotions run high. This is just another one of those big fights. I mean, you got to put yourself in Angel's shoes. That's his son. So he's going to be more emotional. So, you know, I don't say much about that.
That is awesome to hear. That what details does Dan Birmingham pay attention to specifically for this Danny fight? I was talking to Kendall Holt, and, you know, he says Danny has impeccable timing. So what, you know, people say speed kills, what, is it timing? No, or timing kills speed?
I think it's going to be the amount of punches that Keith lands on him, because Keith is going to be real busy. I mean, he's really up for this fight. His jab, his right hand, his hook, his uppercuts, everything's looking great. So Danny's in trouble.
Now, some would say that that plays into Danny's strong suit. In the Matisse fight, we've seen him play the role of a counterpuncher. So if Keith is the aggressor, wouldn't that be, I guess, right at home for Danny?
It's real hard to time somebody that's got a good feint, and Keith's got a great feint, so he's going to be pulling off balance all the time.
For you, when you hear people say, you know, that he's weak to the body, yet he's never gone down or never taken a knee, how do you receive that?
I know in boxing you can take it better here than you can in the liver. I mean, it was a perfectly placed punch. Anybody would have got hurt. Most guys would have went down and quit. But the toughness of Keith Thurman prevailed.
Well, they mentioned Jesus Soto Carras, Diego Chavez. Again, times that he never went down, but for whatever reason, the critical world of the internet and reporters and what have you have him labeled as, I don't know, as if it's iffy. You know, as if he doesn't like to be hit, is what you read, what you hear out here.
Well, nobody likes to be hit. I mean, it's all part of the business. He understands that. We just want to minimize the damage. We want to minimize the damage. That's what we want.
Is 2.5 is what the betting line opened up at. Is that fair enough for you? Do you think that Keith is levels above that 2.5, or is that fair?
I don't pay any attention to the odds. I mean, nothing's going to come into play that way when the bell rings. It's going to be him and Danny. So I don't pay attention to the odds at all. Although I might put a few bucks down on Keith.
A few bucks?
A few bucks, yeah.
So how do you expect this one playing out? I mean, Danny, he has the criticism of being flat-footed. Can Keith kind of do the similar Pacquiao role where it's like jump in, do some damage, jump out?
Well, Keith fights out of a rhythm anyway. He's always moving. He's always setting the guy up. He's stutter-stepping. He's feinting. He's always trying to throw you off. So in that regard, I don't think Danny will get a chance to get set once Keith starts nailing him.
Danny hasn't made up in his mind that he cherry-picked Keith. Since the stigma in boxing is that he's a cherry picker, he says, well, I'm cherry-picking Keith. How do you receive that?
That's just banter back and forth. I don't pay any attention to that. I mean, fighters are going to talk about each other. That's just the nature of the business. We'll see fight night what happens.
But it seems like he's always had his eye on Keith. I've spoken to him a lot, and he says he's known Keith through the amateurs, but that, you know, Keith has always not been on the level as an amateur that Danny was, and nor was he, obviously now, not the level of a champion that Danny is. He always feels like Keith was behind him. Is there anything that we don't know in the amateurs that we missed?
You're talking about a 7-time national champion. So he's got the amateur pedigree. You're talking about a world champion, an undefeated world champion. So that's just talk, and we pay no attention to that.
Is Danny in the toughest fight of his career?
For sure, for sure. Keith might be too, but Keith's going to prevail.
What is the difference between a Matisse or a Khan or Eric Morales? Because leave it to the father. We've been here before, it's his words. We were always counted out. We were a 7-1 with Khan. We were a 4-1 with Matisse. It's no difference that we're a 2.5 underdog with Keith Thurman.
I mean, that's all odds maker stuff. We pay no attention to that. We view the films. We know what we have to do. We train hard. Keith will execute in this fight and be the victor.
Does it come down to tools? Does Keith just have more gears in the ring? You know, some people call Danny a counter puncher and a big puncher, but Keith is versatile in the sense, like Kendall Holt said, the legs. And, you know, someone else might say the jab. You consistently bring up the right hand. We all seen him land that beautiful left hook on Porter. Seems like he has a little more in his bag. Am I looking, is that wrong?
No, it's not wrong. But the one thing Keith has is great eyes and great reflexes. He knows how to read. He knows how to react. So whatever Danny brings, Keith's going to be ready for. It doesn't matter what it is.
Now, all the Keith Thurman fans, we've been waiting for that one time. We want that knockout. He said, you know, 3 times a charm in the Barclays Center. Is Danny the guy to give Keith that knockout again, you know, to be able to put him back in the win column with the KO?
I mean, not going to make any predictions because they're both champions. It's going to be a great fight, but I guarantee you Keith Thurman will prevail.
Now, talk to us about this gigantic fight. Really, all the fans are excited. You really gave us a treat with this. We want to thank you and Danny first and foremost for actually getting into the ring. I mean, we've got other guys like Mayweather Pacquiao. It took 7 years to do what you're doing.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is what the sport of boxing needs, man. This is what I want, man. You know, Danny, he accomplished so much at 140, and he's trying to make the same accomplishments at 147. You know, he ain't really ducked nobody. He's always taken on the challenges. He has cherry-pick the easy fights when it's time to have an easy fight. You know, could he fought a little bit of tougher competition? Yeah, and that's what the fans always got frustrated with. But he fought the Lucas Matisses, he fought Amir Khan, he fought Eric Morales, and now he's fighting Keith Thurman, man. You know, he fought Robert Guerrero and stuff, you know, so he's got plenty of people on his resume. He's a great champion. I'm a true champion, and I look forward to facing Danny Garcia and getting this victory in a few weeks, man.
Now, do you really feel that way about his resume, or are you being politically correct because you want your credit when you defeat him, if you defeat him, all right? We have to talk confident here, so right. When you defeat him.
Let me be politically correct for real now.
Okay.
All y'all motherfuckers are stupid, all right? All y'all little bloggers and all that, come do my job, son. Come do my job, son. Get away from that TV, get away from that camera, and step into this ring right here. Blood, sweat, and tears, all right? The way our heart beats as warriors, all right? Y'all don't understand, man. Even the lesser man is a great man because he's willing to do something you ain't willing to do. You understand that? Boxing ain't for everybody, man. Boxing is one of the toughest sports in the world, man. When every sport you compete, but very little are you competing this man versus that man. You know, for me personally as a sports fan, I like tennis because tennis is similar to boxing. It's one-on-one. My skills versus your skills. We going toe-to-toe, blow for blow. The only thing is they don't have to feel the blow. They don't have to take the blow, okay? We have to move forward, backwards, side to side, throwing punches, giving punches, taking punches. It's a whole nother level when it comes to the athleticism that a world-class champion, 12-round fighter. I don't care if you were champion for a day. I don't care if you are #1 contender. All of these fighters have hearts of champions because they have hearts of a warrior. And it takes that heart originally from the start to ever become champion in the first place, man. So like I said, to be politically correct, all y'all got it twisted sideways, all right? Danny Garcia is a world-class fighter. Keith one-time Thurman is a world-class fighter. The men I beat and the men that he have beaten are world-class fighters, all right? So this fight right here, you got 2 world champions, 28 years old, undefeated, in their primes, going toe-to-toe for your entertainment, man. So I hope that behind some of that hate, y'all show the love that we all deserve.
BoxingVoice.com live here with Kimberly Danner, actually the aunt and strength and conditioning coach of Keith one-time Thurman. Now, she's been around since the Collazo fight, which we didn't know, and there's things that she knows that we haven't seen of Keith. So you were speaking of, you know, the fact that we haven't seen everything of Keith. We haven't seen all the nooks and crannies. What exactly are we missing?
Well, what you're missing is the fact that he has such a breadth and knowledge of the boxing sport. And when he comes into every fight, he brings something different. And he only uses what he has to use. It's like he doesn't have to show off. If you're winning, you're winning. But I know there's so much more that Keith can do because I've seen him in training. I've seen him in camp. I've seen him working one-on-one. And I know that he has so much heart and power that he has never had to show in the ring yet. And I'm excited because I think this is the kind of fight that's going to bring out all those tools, all those weapons. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing night for the fans.
Now, speaking of the fans, they only know one other woman to be synonymous with boxing, and that's Ann Wolf. She's a trainer, not a strength and conditioning coach. But let the world know your credentials and just exactly how you got to be with Keith.
Well, I'm not.
She's the absolute best.
Thank you. Well, besides being his auntie, I am a pro figure athlete, IFBB pro. So what I do is help athletes get, go from, amateur to pro. So my credentials are, I've been a fitness trainer since 1994. I did my first bodybuilding show in 1995. So I have a very deep knowledge of weight loss, conditioning, transformations, short period of time, and that's why he knew that I would be able to help him. Camp is so short. The camp is only, 3 months? So you got to have somebody come in and help you stay on track with your conditioning. So I've been doing diet and nutrition for years. That's what I do for a living. So that's why he sought me out, because he knew. And plus, I'm family, and I have a deeper motivation to help him be successful.
Now, last time we were here in camp for the Sean Porter fight, he said that he goes to restaurants for his diet. Now you're cooking as well. So.
Fight too. I cooked, and he ate a lot of fish, a lot of vegetables, sweet potato. I think it was surprising to him, as most boxers probably try and stay away from carbohydrates, and a lot of them don't eat. It was funny to see one of the boxers ask him when he was walking by with a plate, "You're eating? What are you doing eating? You got a week left for your fight." But the power of food is that you got to stay, you got to make sure you have your strength. You can't come into the ring without your strength. So I think that having proper nutrition and making sure you're timing your meals right with your cardio workouts, with your, with your boxing, the bag work has been very helpful for him to learn how to eat and not overeat. So sometimes having that extra push and having someone cook it for you makes it a lot better.
So essentially, you've added education to the camp.
Right.
How did you strengthen the core? Because that was one of the key things we brought up, the fact that you came in after the Collazo fight and during the Collazo fight, and that people criticize his midsection, so you've been tightening that up for everyone who thinks he's going down with a body shot.
On that. Now, I already know that we've done a lot of work. Plus he was ready for it. He knew, he's always trying to grow as a boxer. He's never the guy that says, I don't need to keep working. So we're always looking to come into the fight better. So we've done a lot of core conditioning. We've hit that core from 360. We do a lot of things that aren't traditional boxing training. So I'm not coming here as his boxing.
Like what? Because Ann Wolf doesn't do tradition, and I have to compare you to being, you're the only other now second woman doing some sort of training.
So when I do something with the ab, I don't give you one exercise. I'll give you 7, and I'll ask you to do 5 sets of that, and then you get a break. So it's a lot. Your conditioning, you're doing cardio, and you're working your core. So it's core cardio conditioning. So we don't always have to get on a treadmill to get the same effect. And I need to strengthen the core, so everything can't come from the treadmill. You can't just go do some sit-ups. You got to make sure you're doing things in a set format, superset, which actually gives a lot more power. So I put a lot of things together that most people wouldn't put together.
Kendall Holt says he's never seen Keith complain. So, I mean, I hear you saying how you're drilling him in 7 supersets with 5 sets in between that. Does he complain to you? Like, come on, Auntie, one more?
No, I mean, he's a professional. This is what he do. This is his job. I mean, why would you brought me out here, you hired me, what you do? I mean, we don't complain. We do it till it's done. We get put out the gym. We don't come there to play. I mean, we come in there to get the work done. He says, what's next? He never says, I'm done. He says, what's next?
Speaking of what's next, 2-a-days. For those that don't know, he's training 2 times a day. We just left today, closed up the gym, but they're going back tonight for another session. What exactly does that one?
That's more cardio, because he's done a lot of core in there, a lot of mixing up with the leg bands. I'm the one that brought the leg bands into the training. He never done a lateral training bands. He does a lot of that for that lateral movement. We go back tonight, it's more about endurance. He's going to be able to endure. It's all about not giving up in that ring. So we just get that cardio done. I'm the cardio shadow. I make sure we get it done.
I gotta ask, right? You being a figure builder, right? Am I pronouncing it right?
Figure competitor.
Figure competitor. How does that make you an expert in stamina or endurance?
Because I'm certified in personal training, I'm certified in strength, I'm certified in nutrition, and it's all about understanding what the client needs, what their sport is. I work with tennis, I work with boxers, I work with celebrities. They had to get ready for shows. I know what they need. I take the need and I turn it into what they, I turn to a workout. So everybody's different. So I'm qualified because I've watched people for 22 years in motion, from age 5 to 80. I've worked with people of all conditioning levels. So I've had years of knowledge. And again, I know what he does for a living. I've watched him and I see where he's going. I see where he's growing. So, I'm just filling in those gaps and making sure he comes in his best.
Would your, clientele list stop at Keith Thurman? Or once the public takes notice and they see what you've done with your nephew, would you open those doors to others? Or are you going to keep it private and exclusive to Keith?
He's definitely this is definitely for him, but I do this for other clients. I do some of this.
Well, I mean more specifically in the boxing world. Would you take on more boxers?
If they're not scared of me, yeah, come on down here. If you can do what One Time does, my hat's off to you. Come on, call me up. KimberlyDana.com.
Well, there you go. New strength and conditioning coach. Not really new, family, so it's adding a dynamic. We're here at St. Pete's Boxing Club. We want to thank everybody that got us here, and obviously thank you for your time. Thank you to Toyota for the wonderful truck. Thank you to Enrique for being a great director.